Guys want to refresh your Twitch screens to where you can see what's going on. Well, actually, nothing's really going on. It's just a visual, but let's see. I want to make sure I didn't mess anything up. And we are live. Okay, let's mute me so I'm not echoing. There we go. Sorry, that was an ad. So let's hit the ground running and pick a title. What do you guys want to talk about? We're chatting Young Heroes today, and we're going to go over what's going on in the stories, and also what these characters mean to the industry and the readers, because I feel like a lot of these characters / storylines are dismissed sometimes by longtime readers and not necessarily seeing the importance of them in the long run.
Right.
And so you guys, which title do you guys want to talk about first? And let's introduce everyone. We have Brandon Clarkson. Say hi.
Hey, I'm Brandon.
And Josh.
Hi, I'm Josh.
And Wiccan, or unless you want to say your real name.
Wiccan Beyond. Hi.
Awesome. So, you guys, what title do you guys want to talk about first?
Ooh. Well, I'm very excited to talk about Super Sons.
Okay, so...
Yeah, let's start there.
Cool.
Yeah, what is it, on issue 3 now? Is that it?
I believe so.
Yeah, that's the most recent one.
It kind of came out of a Batman and Superman, or a Superman arc called Super Sons, I think. And now it's Jonathan Kent and Damian Wayne on a duo, and I absolutely love this book.
Oh yeah, I love it too. It's great.
What do you love about it? Do you like the characters? Do you like the fact that they teamed up Damian and Jono, who couldn't be polar opposites?
Yeah. Damian Wayne is one of my favorite characters ever in DC. So I'm so excited for him to be on multiple books right now. And like you said, he's totally different from Jonathan. And so it's like that their dynamic together just never gets old. I could read that forever.
And I think Peter Tomasi is one of the few people who write Damian really well.
Mm.
What do you think,
agree.
Wiccan, of Super Sons?
It's definitely Super Sons together with Superman. I think Peter Tomasi is doing really great work with the characters. I'll admit, it took me a while to come around on Damian as a character. He didn't score any points with me when, in his first appearance, he tried to beat up Tim Drake. But I've really come around on him. I think what you said was right. It kind of comes down to like how he's being written, and I think Tomasi has a really good sense of just how to write a bratty kid who thinks that he's, owed the world.
Yeah, for sure. Like for example, Damian shows up in Teen Titans, and I'm not sure if I exactly am a big fan of how Benjamin Percy writes Damian's voice.
I'm cool with it. I haven't noticed any. It hasn't bugged me at all. But I've been really enjoying the Teen Titans book. How do you think Tomasi writes him differently from Percy?
I don't know. I just think I think maybe I've just read so much Tomasi Damian, after Grant Morrison, that maybe that's just the voice I hear in my head. Can I pinpoint what's different about it? I don't know. It's a good question.
What do you think, Ian? Do you think that he's got like different voices in those two books?
I think the only thing that I would point out is that he seems more, and I know a part of it is because he's dealing with his grandfather, but he seems to allow himself to be more visibly vulnerable. Mm-hmm. Like when he's dealing with Superboy, and I get that there's also like an age and height dynamic between them. but it feels like him like sacrificing himself for the Teen Titans, who he hardly knows, seems, I don't know, it didn't sit completely 100% in character.
Yeah, I feel like I enjoyed the first arc of Teen Titans, but it was so focused on Damian, and a lot of this stuff. If you've been reading, if you know Damian's history, it was kind of rehashing stuff you might have already known.
Right. Yeah.
But I kind of going a little bit on a tangent, but I wanted to know more about the other characters in the first arc of Teen Titans.
Yeah, that kind of was a little bit a disconnect for me because just prior to the current Teen Titan book launching, I was really enjoying the Starfire book, and and of all the characters in the book, she currently kind of feels the most out of place. Like, it kind of felt like DC or editorial or whoever wasn't quite sure what they were going to do with Starfire, but they're like, oh, we got to put her somewhere
in the current Teen Titans title, right?
Right. Yeah. And like, it's frustrating that because her just being associated with that team, like, it's hard to forget that she's Nightwing's age. Like they've been a couple.
Mm-hmm. And that's something that I've noticed other people comment on. And Chip Marlowe on the Discord community, I posted the link on the chat if you want to join. He mentioned that he asked me, like, how old is Starfire supposed to be in this title? Because like, she's actually like Nightwing's age. Like, she's not supposed to look like a child, and the way she's drawn in the book she looks incredibly young, which it's started to I've started to notice more and more as the series goes on. What about you guys? Did you guys notice that?
Well, I don't have any history with Starfire, really. I haven't really read her before.
Gotcha.
And so, like, that aspect didn't bother me at all. But I do wonder, like, if any sort of change has happened behind the scenes with her character since Rebirth, and like maybe they're trying to take her in a different direction, or if it's just an oversight on their part, or what it is.
Well, did that last Starfire book come out around the DCU?
Yeah,
time?
that was a title that came out of the DCU YOU initiative, and it's clear that they're. I think, unfortunately, the New 52 version of her at launch was so, I guess, ill-advised at the end of the day, that they did kind of reintroduce her as a version of the character that's much more closer in tone to what you saw in the Teen Titans cartoon. And, the book, or the Starfire book, utilized her misunderstanding of like English or Terrian idioms, which they would show like a little thought bubble and like the image that pops in her head when someone would say something, and of course it'd be 100% literal, and she'd be confused, and so yeah, like I kind of was hoping that Starfire, if anything, would have been allowed to be on the Titans, and that and that Cassie Sandmark was on the Teen Titans instead, because she's a character in dire need of a rebirth.
And then would you have Starfire guest star on Teen Titans, kind of like as a den mother, or maybe like just come in and make sure that everything's okay? Or
I kind of I think that the Teen Titans kind of re-entered a golden age when Jeff Johns relaunched the title, and I think in 2003, 2004, and he kind of put both Starfire and Cyborg in as kind of like the mentor characters for like the next generation of Titans. Like, they were in their, I guess, early 20s at the time, and they were mentoring, kind of like the next generation Teen Titans. And yeah, if she were more of like a den mother character, which I kind of hope that's the direction it heads. Like it makes sense that Damien would just assume that he's the leader. That's kind of in character.
Yeah.
That's kind of in keeping with his character. But hopefully, like, especially after the end of this first story arc, I mean, I'm hoping to see some sort of, like, pause for the team where they kind of go, like, is this really the Robin we want leading the team? Like,
Well, thinking about Starfire's, how old is she right now? Is with all this rebirth, timey-wimey sort of things going on,
right.
Are they still sticking to the New 52? Like, it's only been 5 years?
No, they're not. I don't know if you're up to date on Action Comics, the issue that came out today. I'm not sure if... No, not today, because it's Friday. The one that came out this week, they kind of, and also with the Flash issue that came out this week, 21, they kind of established that the Justice League has been around for, 15 years. Like, they've had so they are kind of doing away with the 5-year time limit.
Gotcha, yeah.
And I just want to take a moment to just like go to chat and just welcome everybody. Thank you, Kiki Boy Does Gaming, for joining us, along with Mike the Mutant, who has been promoted to mod, and Chip Marlowe, who says, I wonder why I wasn't invited for this stream, because he is a huge lover of Young Hero titles. And
I said that he should have been on here.
No.
In his defense, I said he should have been invited.
No. And then Captain Caramel says Brandon is beauty fuck, which I'm assuming he meant beautiful, which he is. And yeah, so thank you. And if you have questions, please post them on chat. I'll try to get to them. Maybe pause here and there. Mike Mutant comments, Starfire looks older on that cover, but younger in the book. And he also goes to say she might be the same age as before, but it might just be the artist interpretation. And thank you, Comic Quest, for joining as well. And then Chip Marlowe just goes to say, Ian with the quick shutdown. He keeps saying that I keep shutting him down. I just want him to share the same appreciation that we have for these characters, just like I've come to appreciate the characters that he loves, like Richard Rider, who I belovingly refer to as Dick Rider. And then Kiki Boy Does Gaming also wants me to say something in a different language, which I'm not even going to attempt. Welcome, Delight, for joining as well. But anyway, continue on with what you guys were saying. Do you guys have anything to say about the comments I just read?
Well, it's good to have a fan.
Yeah. Brandon's got fans.
I needed that.
And also welcome you, Ronan.
What I was kind of thinking of with the whole DC, Young Heroes thing, how much variety do they have compared to like Marvel Young Heroes? What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I'd say that Marvel has more all ages books right now than DC. But that being said, I just don't think what Marvel has is that great. I mean, I think that the few books DC has going right now that are all ages or, feature young characters or young heroes, I just think are just way better. They're just doing a much better job. And I think that that's just indicative of the publishers as a whole right now. But, I just, every week, Super Sons and Teen Titans and all those are some of the first books I read.
Right.
Yeah, is anyone still reading Gotham Academy?
Oh, man.
I was just talking about that earlier. I feel bad, but, I dropped off it, when second semester started, just because...
Same here.
Just because, when Rebirth hit, and I'm all like, oh, like DC's coming back. Like I've missed you for 5 years, and like I was during the 5 years of New 52. I got Starfire and I got Gotham Academy, and I got the was it the Apocalypse War, like the last like big Jeff Johns thing that he did on Justice League.
Darkseid
Wars. Yeah, thank you. So that was one of the books that I had to cut because I realized I was going to get a lot more of Rebirth than I thought.
Yeah, I had to cut it eventually too, but I just got to say that like Gotham Academy is just one of the best ideas that DC's done in a long time. It's just such a clever book that you're surprised that it's never been done before.
Yeah,
it's just great characters, great lore. It's so perfectly unique. I still can't believe that there hasn't been something like that before, and I can't wait to read it in trade because I was picking up so much stuff. I just had to decide to trade weight on it.
Right.
But it's every issue is just so. I mean, it's Harry Potter and the DC universe basically, and those are all words that I love.
Well, here's a side question. Were you guys a fan of the Lumberjanes Gotham Academy crossover?
I skipped out on that one. I didn't pick that up.
Okay. I didn't pick it up either.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I didn't pick it up.
Oh man,
I've read some Lumberjanes though, and that's a great book.
Yeah, it is. I heard that. I checked it out, but I want to keep my negative opinion to myself because I haven't finished the first arc or whatever. I didn't finish it. It wasn't that great, and that's just an opinion that's been going around the internet and from some personal friends of mine. So, but I just wanted to touch on it, see if you guys had checked it out or read it, maybe shared the opinion. But
those are both books that I've suggested to my coworker for like her daughter. Lumberjanes and Gotham Academy. So I think it's one of those things where it's like, oh yeah, this sounds like a great idea. Let's mix two things together.
At face value, it just sounded like such a good crossover, but I didn't hear that it did that well.
Yeah, it's complicated when you get into those cross-publisher books because there's so much like red tape and like back and forth between like what they'll allow characters to do that sometimes you end up with a great story, but other times like the writer is so hamstrung by like restrictions that they can just tell a very kind of middle of the road safe story that doesn't really change any of the characters involved.
Yeah.
So Ian, you read at least the first couple issues. Like is it literally just like some timey-wimey like dimensional hopping stuff, how they all meet, or like is it like taking the approach of like New Teen Titans and Uncanny X-Men where they just kind of pretend they took place in the same universe the whole time?
No, I don't remember. I read it a while back. I just think that it wasn't well written at all. Like, in my opinion, I just think that was its downfall. I don't necessarily think that the setup was what hurt the crossover. But, I want to finish it for sure. That's why I want to reserve my opinion on it. But just want to see what you guys thought of it. But,
well, if you want to talk about it a little more, because
no.
we didn't read it.
Well, that's no fun if you guys haven't read it.
Well, I feel like something like Gotham Academy is like a great entry way into like the DC universe for younger readers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it really is.
You can kind of get the bigness of the universe without the complexity,
I think about that a lot because I'm a teacher, and actually I get a lot of people asking about recommendations for younger kids to get into worlds like Marvel and DC. Mm-hmm. And this is a great example of like, well, you can start. There's not that many trades. You can just pick it right up.
Yeah. And the character of Maps is just so perfect. Like, I honestly think out of and it's just me, and it's my own bias against the New 52, I'm sure. But I honestly think she was the best thing to come out of that period.
Oh yeah,
I could totally see that. I can see that.
Well, are there any other what other young hero books are coming out from DC?
So far, the only ones that I'm reading are Teen Titans and Super Sons, and then you do kind of get a little bit of Jonathan Kent. No, it's not Jonathan Kent. It's Jonathan Smith, right?
No, it's Kent.
Okay.
Now,
in
Smith's
Superman,
like
which is also by Tomasi.
Yeah, I don't want to do spoilers, but like in the Action Comics that's being written by Dan Jurgens, he's doing a storyline called New World, and it's the post Superman Reborn storyline, and it's establishing what is Clark Kent and Lois Lane and Jonathan Kent's like current history, like now that everything's kind of put back in place, and it kind of gives you the picture that the whole Smith part of their story just isn't in continuity anymore. Like they've just been the Kents the whole time.
Yeah, meet the Kents.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to dabble into more of like a debate type discussion, and I'm gonna go through each and every one of you to get your opinion on this question. Marvel and DC, what are they doing right? What is each doing right, and what they're doing wrong? Let's get to the meat of this debate. Let's not beat around the bush a little bit. So let's start with Brandon. What's Marvel doing right? What are they doing wrong? What's DC doing right? Because right now, Rebirth is killing it while Marvel is struggling.
Yeah. Well, this
and let's
this
just
is
keep
the
it to young hero
that this is a conversation that I have with the comic book store owner quite often, and I mean, there's a long answer, I guess, and a short answer, and I'll give you both, in my opinion. The short answer is just that I think Marvel's telling better stories, or sorry, DC's telling better stories right now.
Okay.
And I don't consider myself a fanboy of either one. Per se. I mean, about 2 years ago, my pool was like 90% Marvel, and now it's 90% DC.
Yeah.
And so I'll go anywhere where people are actually telling good stories.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd say there's a few factors in what Marvel's doing right now. First of all, just from a retailer standpoint, they're really screwing over retailers quite a bit right now. They are doing so many things that are just designed to artificially inflate their sales numbers, and they really kind of screw over retailers. So one thing they're doing is, for example, like double shipping new series. So, for example, like Marvel regularly over the last couple years has advertised the series being monthly, but then they'll put out the first 3 issues like in the first month. And then they'll just make it monthly again. And the reason they do that is because comic book stores have to order their books like 3 weeks in advance.
3 months.
And so if you've got 2 issues coming out in 3 weeks, then that means that we can't gauge the number to buy number 2 on. And so we're forced to buy number 2s at number 1's, at whatever unit number we decide for number 1. And so it kind of I think it's totally intentional so that retailers are forced to buy more of the second issue, even though knowing that people are going to want to probably drop it. Mm-hmm. The other thing they do is they do over shipping, which is when they will, like if we order 20 copies of Captain America, they'll just send us 30 for no reason. Mm-hmm. And they do this all over the country, and retailers have to pay for that extra shipping, and then we have to pay for the extra shelf space. And they do that so that way when the numbers come out, they can say, "Oh, we sold 20% more issues than DC this month." But a good chunk of that is actually just because they gave them to us, and they get to say that they shipped them that way. Mm-hmm. A few other things they do, like just the variance is out of control. I mean, having I agree. 6 or 7 or 8 or 10 variants for every number 1 is just insane. I mean, that the USA Avengers
I am so with
was
you
an interesting
on that
idea, but 52, it's crazy. Go on, what were you saying, Ian?
No, I was just agreeing with what you're saying. Like, this variance business is just it's just too much. Not only are you putting out too many fucking books already, which is something that Mike the Mutant said on chat, you are also like putting out so many books with variant covers that nobody wants to buy. Like, I've told my comic book shop, I said, I want, with my pull list, I said, I want the original covers because I tend to look for variant covers on my own. Like, if I really want to have a variant cover, I will buy it. But this like variant business it puts too much stress on the reader, I think. What do you guys think?
Well,
No, I agree completely.
Because it's one of those things where like you feel like you have to own all the different variant covers, and it's like you don't. You really don't.
Well, and also like people want those variants, right? So stores ideally want to stock them. And so what Marvel does is they basically they want to put out as many issues as possible, so that way stores are full. Because as it is right now, as you guys know, there's way too much great comics coming out right now. So there's not enough room to put them all on new racks. And so we have to make decisions about which comics we're going to put on the new rack and which one we're going to even order. And Marvel knows that they're so big, or at least so much of what they've done has been because they think that they're kind of too big to ever fail. And so they know that most shops are going to carry it just because of the Marvel name, and they can literally squeeze out the competition. Shops won't have enough room on the new racks because of all these variants and everything else to put other series.
And Chip Marlowe, who also just got a job at a comic book shop, said, "My work has all kinds of variants stuck on the wall."
Oh yeah, I've seen stores that do that.
So I don't know if Chip Marlowe means they aren't selling, or what do you guys think about that? Do you think the variant covers are selling?
I buy some of them.
I know.
Depends on the cover. I mean, like the hip hop covers. I mean, they've kind of slowed down recently, but they usually sell. Although sometimes we'll get certain covers and we think they're going to sell, and then we're just stuck with them for a long time. But another thing that really annoys us too is that Marvel puts out all these covers, but then they make it so that only big comic book stores can buy them.
Yeah,
so they'll have really weird, arbitrary rules for who can buy them and who can't. So, like for example, let's say that there's a really cool variant cover that a lot of our customers want coming out for the next Captain America. Well, Marvel will say, okay, well, in order to get this, you have to double your orders for Iron Man.
Right.
And if you double your orders for Iron Man, then you can get this special cover for Captain America. And all they're trying to do is just get you to double your orders for Iron Man, so then they can say that they ship more Iron Man. I mean, it's like it's not even connected to the series that it's coming out with. And so half the time we can't get the variants our customers want, and then when we are able to get them, it's because we had to jump through some arbitrary hoop.
Yeah, that's where I think it's also another area where I think DC is doing quite a bit better. Is because they just have like, here's a regular cover, here's a variant cover, order as much as you want. Like, yeah,
exactly. And another thing too is the Marvel is I think pretty much every problem Marvel has right now can be summed up with Marvel just thinks that they're so big that people are going to buy their product no matter what because it says Marvel, and so they can do whatever the hell they want.
No, this.
So they can charge $5 for a new issue if they want. People are going to buy it, and if they're running a little low on revenue,
$10,
just order a $10 Deadpool book, 4 times a year, just so they can boost that revenue. And you'll notice it's Amazing Spider-Man and Deadpool that always do these $10 issues, and it's precisely because they are the biggest selling Marvel books. And so Marvel knows that because of the way pool lists are, retailers are going to order these extra books, or extra priced books because they have customers who are on the pool list. And half the time, honestly, like at my shop, half the time the customers come to pick up their comics, they didn't even know this was going to be a $10 issue.
Yeah.
And so they're forced to buy it, and we were forced to order it.
Well, I think when I was buying Howard the Duck, the Zdarsky run, I think the first one came out and it was like $5, and I was like, I all right. And then the second one came out, and I think that one was $5 too. And I was like, I didn't know, is it going to be $5 the whole, run?
Yeah.
And that made me want to be like, well, am I loving this book that much? Or, it makes me less likely to give it a chance.
Right.
And I feel like the price point between, I feel like we're, crapping on Marvel, but oh well. I was a new reader around, 2012.
Okay.
And if you just think about price points now, like suggesting to a new reader, how much are Marvel trades?
Yeah.
What, 18, 20 plus, and you get 4 to 5 issues.
Right.
And then look at DC trades, and they're what, 16, 17, maybe to 20. And a lot of the Rebirth trades have had 6, 7, 8 issues in them.
Yeah.
And also the numbering for Marvel. Oh my gosh. Don't get me started with that.
God.
Thinking about a new reader, like what is Unbeatable Squirrel Girl came out. It had 8 issues, and then guess what? We're going to go back to number 1.
Well, I'm going to go on another big rant, and then I'll shut up. But so many of the decisions they're making right now are just so obviously for short-term profits. And obviously every company wants to make profits, right? But it's like nothing they do has any sense of scale or sense of longevity or anything. So like Josh said with the number ones, it's like, oh, sales are starting to dip, let's just relaunch. And it's first, it's just annoying as hell, first of all. But second of all, it screws over the creative teams. Because, when was the last time a creative team was able to tell a long, interrupted story in a book? Jonathan Hickman's Avengers, is that the last time that was able to happen? Marvel does not want their creators to be able to tell stories. They want them to pump out a few issues, and then, pump out a few more once it renumbers, and then they'll renumber again and pump out a few more, and whatever gets, the people there, and then they'll do an event. They'll do some big, huge, universe-altering event that affects every single title, and then it'll be delayed for 4 months. And then once it finishes, the next one will start 3 months after that. And it's just insane. And plus, it kills small books, too. Take a book like Mockingbird, right? So Mockingbird is a great book, with great reviews, and it's a great diverse book, too. It's a really great, awesome, well-rounded female character.
Yeah.
And but it does have small sales, and so it's like, oh, what do we do to make sure that this book isn't canceled? Well, let's make the creator derail the story she's telling, force them to do a couple issues where it ties into a larger event. Make the people who are on it drop it, and then it ends up being canceled. And this has happened several times. The only reason Miss Marvel hasn't been canceled is because Wilson is actually a good writer, and she's able to keep it afloat. But in an alternative universe, that book would have been gone long ago because of whatever event they were doing at the time. It just kills all these books.
Well, also, if we're referring to Ms. Marvel, she also has a sizable digital sales. She sells much more in digital than print, and that helps keep that's what's keeping the book alive. Like if they weren't making those kind of sales on the digital front, that book would have been gone a long time ago.
And I think, G. Willow Wilson she has been doing a great job with the tie-ins she's forced to write.
Yeah.
She is able to keep her story moving forward. But, where I feel as other books, I think a big problem is these newer characters like Miss Marvel and Silk. Like, is Marvel giving them a chance to develop as characters, and giving the writers time to figure out the world, before they're adding all these tie-ins and stuff. Like Silk, I think, had like 5 issues, and then there was a tie-in or something.
I think. I mean, and this is only my own take, and I feel bad that this has become a let's talk about what Marvel is doing wrong chat. But when we're talking about like, is Marvel doing right by particularly their younger heroes? You could argue that in many ways they're setting them out there to die. Because I kind of think, and this is my own take. Like, I think Silk would have benefited from telling more of her story within Amazing Spider-Man, and even just letting her stay there for, a number of years, to where there was a demand that she have a solo title. And I understand Marvel's, if you want to be generous about their intent, it's. I think they learned the lesson of Miss Marvel, going like, there is a demographic out there that we're clearly aren't reaching through, traditional comic book stores. There is a wider audience that we could be reaching, and I think that their intention is good. Is that they're like, oh, let's go where some of this new money is. Let's give a bunch of our younger heroes solo titles. And yeah, I just think not all of them are being supported to this from a consumer standpoint. I don't think consumers are supporting the titles to the same degree that they've supported like Ms. Marvel.
Well, do you want to, do people want to take a chance on a $5 book?
Right.
A $5 number one?
Right, exactly.
I mean, too, like, first, if you guys haven't watched Comic Book Girl 19's video about this that she put out last week or this week, that's really good, too. And she talks about a lot of this stuff. That's definitely worth watching.
Yeah.
Well, if we want to be positive about Marvel, we can talk about the Marvel books we love.
I mean, well, and that's something that I do want to touch on, is the fact that Marvel did put out a lot. They blew their wad with the Young Hero titles. In my opinion, very quickly, to the point where some of the longtime readers were in shock. But they are doing a really good job, though, because in my opinion, IMO, like, Champions is doing really well. Miss Marvel's doing really well. Hawkeye was doing as well. So I don't think the stories are necessarily bad. But maybe they aren't able. Do you guys think that the reason why these titles aren't selling is because Marvel doesn't know how to market them for the demographic that they're for?
I think that's a part of it. But I think also, and this is just the flip side, is that, like, I personally don't have any problems with, like, legacy characters. I mean, obviously, Wiccan Beyond, that's named for Wiccan and Terry McGinnis, like, the best Batman ever. And that's a controversial opinion. But I think where Marvel hit a stumbling block that I think they didn't realize that they were going to hit was when they shelved all the historical characters for newer versions. Like, and some of the marketing is, like, so incredibly transparent. Like the reason why it's not called Ironheart is because no one would take a chance on it. They're calling it Invincible Iron Man so that it will sell. Now Tony's still in the book, kind of.
He's an AI.
But, like I want there to be, like, I'm a big table kind of guy. Like, I want there to be new characters that are representing all different kinds of readers, so people can see their own lived experience in, like, a domino mask and a cape. But at the same time, I think, like, it's one of the things, like, if we want to just bash on DC a little bit, it was the misstep with the New 52. When DC took away their own history, when they said this is an all-new universe, they, in fact, had to shelve more than half of their characters. Because you lose that legacy. And I think Marvel, I think you can get away with, telling a Jane Foster Thor story, as long as, Tony's still Iron Man, Captain America is, Captain America. But when they do them all at once, I think for people who do want to just show up and, I want to pick up Iron Man and I want to read about Tony Stark, like, I think shelving all of their our historical characters all at once was probably ill-advised.
Yeah, and I wonder if it, I feel like Marvel's not showing confidence in their new characters if they feel like they have to put on a legacy skin.
Yeah.
I feel like, I'm trying to think of a good example of, like with Ironheart, like you said, like branding the book Iron Man, like, is that really putting confidence into that character?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a slap in the face too. It's like, Iron Man is now a woman, but it's like, okay, why not just call her Iron Woman or Iron Heart? It's like, why do you have to call her Iron Man, Iron Heart? It's like,
right.
It's you're trying to have your cake and eat it too.
And I know somewhere Natasha Irons is wondering where her ongoing is. She's like, I was there first.
Right. Well, it's like it's like Josh said. It's like I get the feeling that here's my problem with a lot of people talk about diversity and Marvel Comics. And I think my biggest problem with them right now is that there are certain books that I guess some people would call "quote unquote" diverse that have a lot of heart and talent behind them, like Ms. Marvel and others.
Right.
And there are some that I think people can just smell the fact that this was just a corporate decision to try to create a new IP that they can make a movie into 20 years from now.
Yeah.
And so it's like I think Ironheart's a big example. We're still going to keep the same pasty white middle-aged white guy writing it. We're not even going to change the name of the book. We're going to keep it Iron Man. But let's just put a teenage black girl as the lead, so that way we can get all the press in the world saying, "Look how brave Marvel is." And and by the way, because she can't handle herself, we're going to make sure that Tony's still her mentor. But it's like he needs to stick around.
But I just want to say something, because I feel like, and not to just not say that everything is negative about Marvel. They did take a huge risk that I appreciate, because I've read these books. I've read Miss Marvel, Nova, Invincible, Iron Man, and Champions, and I'm reading Hawkeye, and I even gave America a chance. That title is shit. Don't pick it up.
That hurts.
But Willow Wilson said, new characters don't sell. Minority characters don't sell. Female characters don't sell. So the fact that Marvel went ahead and gave all of these diverse characters a shot is something that I appreciate. Whatever their motives really were, I admire that, because at the end of the day, they took a risk, and I kind of feel like Miss Marvel ignited that fire a little bit. But I love 90% of the stories that came out of this Miss Marvel boom.
Yeah. And also, I think, I mean, this might be thinking like the 20 years down, like was mentioned 20 years down the line, but I also think they're workshopping ideas to eventually, use in the cinematic universe. Like Robert Downey Jr. isn't going to do this forever, and so,
right.
I think eventually they're going like, we need a viable replacement, and Riri Williams, if she stays around, if she stays relevant, that becomes a realistic choice in the cinematic universe. Like, I think that's also where some of this is coming from.
And there's something to what Wiccan is saying, because I kind of feel like the Captain Marvel MCU movie is kind of like the beginning of that. Because I never in a million years did I think that Carol Danvers was going to get her own MCU movie. Now that's happening. How far down the line is Miss Marvel?
Yeah.
And then after Miss Marvel, how far down the line is Riri? And this is just an idea, and I'm not saying I'm right, but welcome, Geb Benson. Sorry. So, what do you guys think about that?
Oh, I think we're gonna see Ms. Marvel at least cameo in the Captain Marvel film, like whether it's just a Easter egg for fans, like a blink and you miss it kind of thing. I also thought that really she would be the one character, because Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. ended up not being the direct bridge to the cinematic universe that I think they originally thought it was gonna be. But Ms. Marvel, Kamala Khan, is the character that like introduce her in the movie, and then give her a TV show because
Yeah.
she is, and have her be the more immediate bridge between films. Like have her like that would make her something special. That
Right. And I think too, like readers would be more inclined to try your new characters if you didn't get rid of the old ones in ways that pissed them off.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I mean, like there are ways of putting Amadeus Cho in the spotlight without killing Bruce Banner, and there are ways of doing that without making Hawkeye the murderer.
yeah,
And there are ways of there's ways of getting Clint out of the picture without making him a murderer of his best friend. There are ways of making Cho without doing that. There are ways of highlighting Falcon without making Captain America a Nazi. I mean, there are ways to do this, and they're just like they're burning all these bridges, and then they wonder why fans are upset and that they're not giving these other characters a chance. Maybe they'd be more willing to do that if you sort of I don't know. I mean, like made it more of a transition instead of like we're going to disparage these characters and then we're going to insert the new ones. And it's like, why not just insert the new ones with a era of positivity?
I completely agree. And in my experience, and just talking from my experience, Civil War II was a big part of that. What? Oh, you were looking at me with like.
No, keep going. Sorry.
No. Like you say, like they were saying, like because Hawkeye became a murderer in Civil War II.
Yeah.
Captain Marvel was
oh my God.
was tainted because of Civil War II.
And
I know you disagree.
How did that affect Miss Marvel's book?
I know you disagree, but seeing Miss Marvel like reject and just literally say, "I do not stand for what you stand for anymore." Like Miss Kamala disowned Carol Danvers.
Yeah, but that's part of superhero genre. Like
the way
if your favorite character made the right decision all the time, there'd be no pathos. There'd be no drama. Like it adds a wrinkle to Carol's character, and it makes sense considering like she shares a lot of the same behavior patterns as Tony Stark because she's a recovering alcoholic. She suffers with control issues in a different way than Tony. Like, it makes sense for her being a military person to, like, look at it as, like, it's the whole, like, do you drop the, atomic bomb argument. Like, if I can save many more lives by preemptively preventing something, I think it makes sense for Carol to make that call. Now, ultimately, it's a very problematic call. And you never know what the unintended consequences are going to be, and you never know, like, if you attempting to interfere, it's going to make something worse happen. Like, and that was part of the conflict of Civil War II. Granted, I didn't read it. I got all the summaries from Spider-Man.
I read Civil War II, and what I was trying to say is just like I hate what that event did to legacy characters.
Yeah.
And I feel like that some of the anger that longtime readers have right now is because of that event. I hate what it did to Captain Marvel and what it did to Hawkeye and what it did to Hulk and what it did to a lot of the legacy characters. So I mean, I don't know if you guys see what I'm trying to say, but like that's just my experience.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, I don't have enough history with Carol Danvers to speak authoritatively about her character usage in that. But like, I just remember there was one panel in her book during Civil War II where Magneto is talking about fascism and concentration camps, and she just looks at Magneto and says, "Oh, you're that guy who just won't stop talking about Hitler and Holocaust." It's like, "Oh, you mean the Holocaust survivor?"
Wow.
And I was just like these things are just so tone deaf, and just so much of what they're doing. It like, okay, so they're setting up these really interesting, great new, characters, but then they're in a really weird like pursuit of just pure shock and press.
Yeah.
They're disparaging the old ones, and it's like, you don't have to do that.
Well, yeah, I think it really did feel like Civil War II was like almost like a backdoor event for Champions. Like it was like meant to explain why all the younger heroes became suddenly jaded with the older heroes.
Yeah,
because they were just fighting with each other all the time.
Yeah, because and that's what Champions kind of touches on. It's like the young heroes were so fed up at how the older heroes were handling shit. Like they were just acting so petty, and and they were like, fucking enough. Like you are fucking this shit up for us, and we're the ones that have to deal with this. Like you don't see what you're doing and the long lasting effects, which is so what's going on in the real world right now. With the older generation kind of like fucking the younger generation over, thinking they know better, when in reality, like they don't have to live with the repercussions of it. And like I said, this is my opinion. I like to connect what's going on in comics to what's going on in the real world.
Sure.
So,
well, James is a book that reflects what's going on in society now. It's very current.
Like that entire issue of that town with the sheriff.
Oh yeah.
And how I just thought that was just an issue that represented what went on with our election, and I appreciated it so much because it kind of gave the new generation's point of view of what's going on. I don't know if you guys read that issue. Did you guys read it?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Good.
Yeah,
well, I think that people. Sorry.
No, you're fine. I was just gonna say, I think I love what Champions is doing. They're like, hey, let's deal with let's try to solve things we can do. Let's work on the ground level where everybody else is dealing with these big universal things. And I like that there's a book that they're like, let's go somewhere and let's do something now.
Yeah, and there's definitely Marvel's definitely putting out some great books.
Yeah.
And I have read one issue of Champions, and I did really like it. And Champions is definitely one of those books. But the problem is kind of like the problem DC had a few years ago, which is 2 years ago the best DC books were the lowest selling ones.
Yeah.
Books like Omega Men and Grayson and Midnighter and Gotham Academy and all those, they were the lowest selling books and they were the best. But the problem was that you try to tell people to read them, and they'll say, no, I'm not going to read anything of DC because I just don't trust them right now. But right now it's reversed, and so I think that it would be, as somebody who works at a comic book shop, it would be way easier for me to sell those great books that nobody's buying if people trusted Marvel as a whole, and if Marvel was doing good by their big, best-selling characters and books, and then when I try, there's people who come into the shop now where all I have to say is, man, I'm loving this DC book, and they'll pick it up because they're like, oh yeah, I totally trust DC right now.
Yeah.
And if Marvel can earn back that trust, then I can sell more of their books that are really low selling. I can sell more Champions, I can sell more Moon Girl, and I can sell more Miss Marvel, and I can sell more, I can sell more Ironheart. I can sell more of these books if their main line, their main characters were, actually making people really excited.
Yeah.
And may I just take a break to go to chat right now? There's some conversations going on. Let's see. So, Geb is saying that they're the opposite. They like their comics separate from the real world. Mike the Mutant followed with, comics have always commented on the issues of the time. And Sean, our favorite Sean,
be nice,
says commenting and preaching are two different things. And he also adds, last issue of Sam Cap was so damn preachy, real annoying. Geb said, I don't know, every day is political Trump crap, and then you open Champions and it's the same thing, so why would I want to read more of it?
Well, I would say something like Champions is, they're trying to find the positive side of things going on in the world today.
Yeah.
And that's something I like about it. But I can definitely understand, comics as a form of escapism. But even if it's not blatant commenting on society, just because of when it's written and, just because of when it's written and who's writing it, there's going to be some reflection of what's going on, even if it's not blatant.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I also think this comes down to it works for certain characters, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, let's not forget. I mean, I know there's some people who don't want, I can appreciate the view of people going like, it'd be better if they just kept politics out of it. And I can appreciate that. That's Chuck Dixon's perspective. But at the same time, we got to remember that Superman started out as a champion of the New Deal, and Captain America's first appearance was punching Hitler, and that was before the U.S. entered the war. So there's always been, I think, a space for some characters to deal with political issues. I know someone in the chat mentioned the X-Men as the obvious example, but I also think. I am concerned, personally, I'm concerned that there's a growing trend amongst certain segments of fandom, and I might be overgeneralizing when I say it's primarily coming from like newer readers that are trying to say that certain stories shouldn't be addressed by comic books, that there are some there are just some topics that superheroes are just inappropriate to address.
New readers or new people coming in from the MCU, from the movies, from the superhero movies?
Yeah, I mean when I mean new readers, I mean I'm talking about people who are primarily coming in with having information from like the films or like the TV shows, because they're coming in with I think a different view of the character. So, like, if we look at the backlash that, say, Captain America, Steve Rogers #1 got, it's funny, when that book was launched, at first when it was first announced that they were bringing young Steve back, the reaction from, like, the more jaded comic book community was like, oh, of course they're making him young again. They got a movie coming out. And then, once the book was out, the reaction was, how on earth could you guys do this to Steve Rogers? You have a movie out right now. So it's like, it's just funny viewing it from, like, that perspective. Is that, like, there's a tendency towards, people want their characters, their favorite characters, to like be okay, and when they're put in, when something, and honestly, like with the whole Captain America thing, like I think for a lot of people he's a very important symbol, and I think even though Nick Spencer pitched the story in February of 2015, when the book came out, we were living in a very different kind of world, and I think a lot of people took that and like projected it onto the Hail Hydra moment.
Well, yeah, I mean, it kind of goes back to like the timing of them releasing this at the same time as Thor is Thor is somebody else, Iron Man somebody else, and I know that this idea of Captain America being a Hydra agent has been around for a while, as far as I know.
Yeah.
Like I know, so I feel like I know they have to plan ahead of time, but like going back to what kind of we were talking about, is like all of this coming out at once.
Yeah,
so much.
I think that's, if we're talking about where Marvel is probably struggling, is that like they replaced all of their, like I said earlier, they replaced all their kind of status quo heroes all at once.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, I might be alone in this chat, but I think Nick Spencer's Captain America, Steve Rogers, has been masterful. Like it's been,
and he's not a fanboy.
It's been no. It's been painful to see that that this is what has happened to Steve. Like, but and I know we're supposed to be talking about Young Heroes, so I'll get off this quickly. But I can connect it. Is that you see a lot of scenes of like Steve's childhood, like how Cubic, the Cosmic Cube, you know, what she's gone back and changed in his history. And, you know, there's some heartbreaking scenes of him growing up where it's like, and where I think the book is oddly relevant is that it does deal with, well, why does someone turn to, like, an extreme worldview? Like, it actually, like, wrestles with those issues. And I think in that sense, it's been, you know, a challenging book. And so, I don't know. But anyway, Young Heroes.
I mean, I'm not opposed to the Captain America thing. I think maybe Josh said it. Like, it is really unfortunate timing because
right.
Marvel had a lot of problems before Civil War II, but you know, at the shop I work at, we've had so many people drop Marvel titles lately. It's just insane. I've never seen it, and 90% of them have dropped because of Civil War II or because of something after Civil War II. And so that was like, so many people were already fed up with Marvel, and then to do this at this time, which again, it's not Nick Spencer's fault, just really pissed a lot of people off.
I blame Nick Spencer for everything.
Also real quick, I saw somebody in the chat. I think it was Comics Quest.
Okay.
Yeah, they said a long time ago, they were like, doesn't DC ship or double ship 80% of their titles?
Yes.
My whole thing was that DC advertises them as double shipping titles, whereas Marvel does it for monthly titles. That was my whole issue with that.
And their double shipped are cheaper. They're $2.99.
Right. But like with
two less pages.
With like Captain America and stuff like that, like I do think that there can be an interesting story there. As far as like people who complain about like too much politics in Marvel and stuff, I think like you all said, like if you think it's a big new thing, then you just haven't been paying attention.
Mm-hmm.
Comic books have always been political. But at the same time, I do have some sympathy, only because like I want politics in my comics, but like
right.
I want my characters to be diverse, and I want them to disagree, and I want them to fight, and I want them to have different opinions.
Yeah.
And so like I want to see, like I don't want every single character in every single book I read to believe the same thing about everything.
Right.
And that
I want to ask something. When you say that Marvel has just over-politicized their comics, right? Which comics are those? Because of the ones that I'm reading, the only one that's dealing with politics is Champions.
So I'm not saying that. I'm saying obviously people are saying that, and I think that they're mostly wrong.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
I was just adding the observation that one thing I do like is it when comic books are political, but also I want to see some heroes that, like, okay, for example, like Batman is I think a small c conservative character, right? Not politically conservative per se, but just a conservative in his personality, right? He's prone towards law and order. He's prone towards status quo. He's prone towards an emphasis on sort of authoritarianism and prone towards he's a rich guy who his therapy is punching people who commit crime, right? So there's, in some regards, like him being with Green Arrow should create conflict, right? Like him and Green Arrow should disagree on a lot of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And the same thing with him and Superman. Like they should be friends, but they also should have fundamental different views of the world. And so like I love when my comic books are political, and I hope that more writers and more series will write characters so that they differ, and so that there can be conflict, and so that characters can learn or change or even just have differing worldviews.
Yeah. And
so that was just a comment I was adding to the discussion about politics. But yeah, people shouldn't complain about politics being in comics because they've always been that way.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I love that we're at a time when there's so many quality books out there that talk about all sorts of things.
Yeah.
And I think there's books for all different types of readers, and I think that's only a good thing.
Yeah.
So, do you guys
And,
want
and I
to?
guess as much as I hate Civil War 2, I seriously, I think it was one of the worst decisions Marvel's made in a very long time. But as much as I hate it, at least they are doing part of what I said I like, which is that I want to see heroes have different views of the world and how to solve the same problems. And that
may I
that
give?
can be a lot of politics, but also diverse politics. Now that being said, there's some worldviews I don't want my heroes to have, obviously. So
Yeah. I mean, it's a double-edged sword, because as much as we want more diversity in characters with regards to like gender, gender, race, sexual orientation, gender identity. There does seem to be, though, like a hesitation, at least when it comes to diversity of thought. Like, to play Mephisto's advocate here, like we see much more kind of transparently like progressive and liberal heroes, or characters who can read as such. I mean, I think you're correct in reading Batman as like a small c conservative. I think that's correct, but you don't see comics, or at least either Marvel or DC, seriously approaching like a character who's clearly like, oh, like like the libertarian response to like the Champions. I mean, you kind of
Sure.
had which I mean, I just think that's interesting. Like, I don't know exactly where I was going with that thought, but
yeah.
No.
Go ahead. I'm wandering now.
I was just saying that. Well, that's an interesting idea. I mean, I'm sure I read way more. I pick up way more comic books that share the ideals that I have than picking up books that might challenge my view on things.
Well, I think it's really hard. I think it's really hard for. So I guess. So just to help explain my point. So like, I think that there's the idea of worldviews, and then there's the idea of like actually straight up politics.
Right.
And so like I think a diversity of worldviews is a great idea, and it makes stories more interesting. I think diversity of politics in comics right now is really, really fucking hard.
Yeah.
Only because like I don't know, like 20 years ago, having conservative characters in your comic books like would be much more acceptable then than it is now, only because I think that I think that the right of center wing in this country have just completely and totally conceded the nation to the worst actors in it in a way that's unprecedented. And so like I don't know if you could have right-wing heroes right now in this moment, because I don't think in real life I don't see any right-wing heroes. It's like in this moment right now, our politics have shifted to the point where I don't know if I would, like, I don't want to see a hero be in the right wing, because I see what the right wing is unprecedentedly doing to my country right now.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas maybe before, when the party and the right wing was, I guess, more more normal than it is now, maybe that was more possible. But now, like, I don't want to read books with right wing heroes only because of what's happening in the moment.
Sorry, Hawkman, you're not getting that ongoing.
Well, it's like I don't want to I don't want to read a book where somebody is like, yeah, I want to ban Muslims. Like, I don't want to read that fucking book,
Right?
And it's like 15 years ago, Republicans were totally pro-immigration and for increased immigration and for citizenship for people here illegally and everything, and now they're not. And so it's like, now I don't want those characters now, where maybe I was more open to it earlier, if that makes sense. I might not be communicating well, but that's kind of where I am right now. Like, the reason so many of the political characters in comic books are liberals, because the alternative is very unsavory at the moment.
Right. Yeah, no, I'm not saying I have like a magic bullet for how, like,
Right.
I think the magic bullet at this point is you do have some characters that, don't have to go political, like, at all. Like
Sure.
I said, like I mentioned this the other day when I was getting into one of my extended conversations about Nick Spencer, is that politics works for some characters, like Captain America, but I don't know if I'd be thrilled with seeing, like, a socio-political take on, like, Billy Batson. like I just don't think it works for hashtag real Captain America or real Captain Marvel. And so, yeah, certain characters it works, certain characters, just punch crime in the face.
And I think, like Ian said earlier, like the origin story of the Champions, like those characters should be these young, left of center activist types. Like they should be that because that's what they were born from. Like they're
in many ways.
born from a moment of a rejection of the world of the adults, and a desire to do something more radical, but radical out of a place of love. And so, like, it makes sense that that book would be political, and it makes sense that it would be political the way it is.
And to add to that, like the Champions, what they represent to me are what the new generation should inspire to be, a group of people who are willing to make change by being the change and using logic and using facts and talking instead of punching. And and the people that are hating on titles like Champions and Miss Marvel don't see what they're actually intended to be, which is kind of an awakening to the new generation and say, you don't have to stay quiet. You can make a change. And it's not about preaching at you. It's about inspiring. And and it upsets me when you have readers say, like, oh, I don't want to be preached. It's like, do you not want to be challenged? Like, do you just want to be a robot of the system? Like, what do you want to be? Like, it just upsets me so much that these titles are shut down immediately when I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
No, I agree.
Well, I mean, I was going to say, I think, you mentioned Champions, not always just going in and punching. I'm trying to think of, Ian, you might know better than me. There's an issue of Champions where they travel to a different country and they go to help.
Well, they go to the Middle East because women are being killed and oppressed because they want to learn. And they go there with the intention of protecting these women, and these women go, no, we don't need you to protect us. We need you to help us be heard. So that's what they do. Yes. So instead of just punching a bunch of fucking terrorists, they help these women get their turn and get their piece out there and say, why are you intimidated by us? Are you that childish that you would be intimidated by the thought of a woman wanting to learn and read?
Yeah.
And I just thought that was so powerful. And it's just like, don't you have sisters? Don't you know any females? Like, why? How does this not touch you? How does this not touch you on a fundamental level? Like,
yeah, exactly.
How could you be against this? It only means well.
Well, yeah, like even that sort of thing came up, and like I'm a music teacher, and that sort of thing came up in my classroom, because someone was talking about a Muslim student who is not, allowed to do any music, and it's such a crazy thing in America to think, it's a privilege to be able to sing or play music. That's such a radical thing here in America. And my kids were like thinking that's the craziest thing in the world, but in some countries, women can't play music at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in these books, like Ian said, it's like, when it's done right, it's about empowerment,
Exactly. It's not about preaching at you. It's not about getting rid of the heroes you grew up reading. It's not about them being pushed on you. It's about empowerment and fucking helping society. Like, we're fucked. Like, if you don't think we are, then you're pretty blind. Like, And I don't know. I think these young hero titles are so important, and they are not being treated the way they should be because of all the risks they are taking and and everything they're taking on. Like, they're doing more than any other book out there, I think.
Yeah, I mean it's challenging as much as we want to, at least on Marvel side, give them a hard time about, constantly relaunching titles or launching books as ongoings when really it's a miniseries. I think they're unfortunately following market trends, but I also think, because the reality is each book has a budget that it has to make, and if it's not reaching that number, the books go away.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that Ian brought this back to the original topic, because like one of the reasons why I wanted to do this show with him is because like I don't get it when people respond cynically to like young heroes. Like I just don't get it, because like I think that like it doesn't even have to be because of issues of that Champions and brings up stuff. Like some people are opposed to young series in general just because like, oh, I don't want to read about kids.
Yeah.
Or it's unrealistic, right? Kids being sidekicks or whatever, just unrealistic. So I want to read it. As if everything else is realistic.
Well, Stan Lee famously hated sidekicks. Like he thought they were dumb, and I'll be honest. Like I think the teenage superhero is probably like the greatest comic book innovation. Like I think it's Superman, and then the more perfected version of Superman in regards to wish fulfillment is Billy Batson, but then it's Robin. Like because Robin is, especially at the time, like Robin was the reader. Like he was hanging out with Batman. Also, like you couldn't have Batman just talking to himself all the time because that'd be crazy. And like so, like I really got into comics through Marv Wolfman and George Perez's New Teen Titans. My local shop was, they were kind of like liquidating a lot of their back issues, and they sold like I think the first 100 issues, and they were selling it for like $10. And I'm like, I snagged that, and I like consumed those books like over the course of a week. And like teen heroes, I mean, they're so perfect for comics because like the whole metaphor of the secret identity, and your teen years are when your identity is changing and evolving rapidly. And I think that the teen heroes are great because they don't have it all figured out. They're not going to be Superman. They're gonna punch a wall and mess up the world. Like,
yeah.
Well, I mean, you take someone like Peter Parker. Like he is one of the the biggest symbols for like teenage hero.
Right.
And do you hear people saying, "Oh, I don't want to read Spider-Man because he's a teenager"? Like I don't think I hear that.
Yeah. Yeah. Like
well, I think. One thing I was looking forward to saying or talking about with, and I think Ian would really like this idea. One of the things I love about Super Sons, at least the first art, is that the villain is also a kid.
Yeah.
And that's even more rare to see, and I love that too because it's like, okay, if you have a book that's all about, okay, what are kids capable of? What can they do?
Oh.
I think it's so important to show the negative with the positive. It's like, this is the other road you could go down on. Like this is the other kind of person you can become. And to have a kid's book where every character, I mean every single character in issue 3 of Super Sons is a kid.
Yeah.
And it was so interesting and refreshing. And I think really important for kids to read. Like kids should read villains who are kids, and kids should read heroes who are kids.
Yeah, I mean, every now and then Deathstroke gets like his own version of the Titans together. But yeah, it's true. You don't normally see supervillain teens.
Was it Wolverine and the X-Men, where they had the young Hellfire Club.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was always funny to me because at first they don't take them seriously, because they're like, they're just these young kids. What are they gonna do?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
God, I love that run. Wolverine and the X-Men was one of my favorite X-Men runs ever.
Oh, it's so good.
Yes. Oh, Kid Omega. Like he's like the perfect example of like a cross between a villain and a hero. If you're at all familiar with him.
So an anti-hero?
An anti-hero, yes.
All right.
Thank you.
That's what I'm here for.
I need more Quentin Quire. More Quentin Quire.
Actually,
he's gonna be in Generation X,
and he's on Mighty. He's on an arc of Mighty Thor right now.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Oh, and he looks so good.
I am ready.
So, do you guys want to hit chat a little bit, see what they're saying?
Oh yeah, there's some interesting stuff going on there.
So, I don't know if you guys can see the chat, but let's see. What are people?
It got heavy there for a moment.
Yeah, I do sympathize a bit with what Chip Marlowe's saying. Like,
Never sympathize with him. Wrong call. He will throw it in your face any chance he gets.
He mentions the recent Green Arrow pipeline arc, and I actually really like the Green Arrow series, but I do have to agree with him in the sense that arc I did not enjoy at all, and I thought for the similar reasons that he thought. Like I thought that to compare that to the Champions issue where they go to the Middle East, right? So they're subverting that issue. Really subverts expectations about what they're there to do, and about who these women are and what they're what they want out of life and stuff. And it subverts that, and it kind of flips your expectations, and it allows people to be people and to be the complicated people that they are.
Right.
And I felt like that Green and Arrow arc, it only lasted like 3 issues or so, was totally not that. It was totally like not allowing, like the people who were for this pipeline in that series, in that arc, were in no way, shape, or form actually people. They were just these wild caricatures on the page. And I can totally see how that actually isn't doing anything compelling or interesting.
Yeah.
It's just kind of telling readers, hey, if you're like me, pat yourselves on the back. And so I totally get that criticism he had, where like I thought that was a very lazy way to put politics in an issue, in an arc, and I didn't think it was complicated or nuanced or good storytelling
now
in a series that I usually really like.
Now, did he have I didn't read the storyline myself. I had to drop Green Arrow. Sorry, but can't get everything. But did he at least have like either Dinah or like someone with him who was like maybe giving like a counterpoint, or was it really just like, oh no, the bad guys want the pipeline? Like
it was 100% bad guys want the pipeline. Yeah. It was yeah. Well, like, and two, like as soon as the right wingers show up, they just start murdering the Native Americans.
Well, that's not healthy.
And I don't know. I was just like, that's kind of not. I don't know if that's actually trying to teach me anything. It's just kind of signaling who the bad guys are, and I'm just supposed to accept that.
Right.
I don't know. I wasn't a fan of the way it dealt with it. And I thought that's when it kind of fails to be interesting. Whereas a lot of the Champions issues don't fail in that way. They kind of excel in the opposite.
Yeah. Also, like, to go back to Super Sons #3 real quick, I am such a sucker for like robot Superman and like robot Batman. Like every time that happens, like I'm a fan. I approve. Like
yeah, I'm really interested in how long is Super Sons going to go on for? Like how much story does Peter Tomasi have to tell with these two? Like I'm really enjoying it so far. Is it ongoing?
I think it feels like an ongoing. Like it feels like their Superman Batman title, but like with the kids. And You know, there's a lot of story potential to have. Like one of the things, and I'll admit this is a I'm in wait and see mode on a lot of like where characters are going to show up. Like I'm kind of, as a guy who really started reading everything DC, in the early 2000s, like I'm kind of going like, okay, what's going on with like Connor Kent, like Bart Allen and Cassie Sandsmark? Because those are three significant young heroes that are like their status is just unknown, and so I mean personally, I'm hoping that when Tim Drake gets busted out of Mr. Oz's prison, that the four of them go on to relaunch a Young Justice book just in time for the new season. But that's my dream. But
well. Yeah. Well, how young would you say like Cassandra Cain is, and like Stephanie Brown?
My personal interpretation is I've always read them as 15, 16 area. I can't remember if they were discussing like, because I know Tim Drake was talking about
Sorry to do that you're
oh.
I haven't had a plan for a couple of weeks.
What's happening?
Is everything okay?
What?
Hello?
Is everyone still
Hey,
there?
what's up?
Brandon, Josh, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I'm here.
Sorry.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, like I guess that's something, I don't think people really think of Detective Comics as a, younger hero books, but right now, I mean, a lot of the team are younger heroes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully Tim Drake comes back, please. Tim Drake.
Yeah, he will. I think honestly, we're kind of seeing it now, like in the recent Flash issue. I think his history is going back to what it was. I mean, that's what I suspect. That seems to be what got hinted at in the most recent issue of Flash. Is that I think he was shelved while whatever story they're unfolding is being told, because I think he's going to have dead parents again, and I'm so excited.
You're excited about the dead parents.
Yeah, because Tim Drake is my favorite comic book character, and like I went on that journey with him. Like I was there when his dad died, and like it was heartbreaking and hard, and then like I saw, I was kind of with him, like in the stories that followed, and so like the New 52 was disappointing when it's all like, oh, none of that happened now. Like it was just kind of disappointing. So like,
well, they didn't. I don't think they really knew what to do with Tim Drake in the New 52.
No, they didn't.
Yeah, that's what I was worried when they took him away in Rebirth, that they were still saying, oh, we don't really know what to do with him now either.
Yeah. Well, I know James. Is it James Tinian, the fourth? I know, like he said that Tim Drake is his favorite character. So I suspect, and this is only a speculation, I suspect they have plans for him, and that's why he's been shelved. Like I think of like, because I want to call back to like when Bruce was missing in time. Tim was the only one that figured it out. Like, and I think they're making the claim that like, out of everyone in Batman's cast, the person who was going to figure out before anyone that time was messed up was probably going to be Tim Drake, and so he had to be removed from the board for a while, and
we still don't know, under what. We still don't know why Mr. Oz is choosing who he's choosing to imprison.
Right.
So, like, there has to be a reason he's picking certain characters in prison, and I imagine when they announce, or when it comes out, like why he's choosing these characters, I'm sure it'll probably have something, like it'll make perfect sense why Tim was chosen.
Right.
I hope so. Like, I hope there's a good. I mean, and so far, Rebirth has done a good job with it, in my opinion. I hope there's not just, oh yeah, well, he was off doing this. I hope they have good story to back them up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also I feel like what's going on with Stephanie Brown right now. She kind of stepped away from Detective Comics. Are they going to bring her back in the fold when they bring back Tim Drake?
Hopefully, they bring her back as Batgirl again.
Mm-hmm.
I love that run so much.
Well, is anyone reading Batgirl right now?
I am not.
Nope. I'm not either.
Nope. Sorry, Barbara.
But I am reading Teen Titans, and Aqualung is back, and I'm so excited.
I'm really glad I'm glad they're finally using him, because he was introduced during like Brightest Day, like well before the New 52, and then they just never did anything with him. And so I'm really glad he's back.
Yeah, well, like they're also doing a big Black Manta arc in that book, and I just, as Aquaman being my favorite comic book character, DC's really given those characters some time to shine. I couldn't be more happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brandon Clarkson is the one who got me to read Aquaman.
I love that episode that Ian, Kirk, and Savannah did about it. Right?
Which one? I'm sorry.
About
Aquaman.
Oh, Aquaman. Oh, dude, that title just was so good. Ding.
I still miss the Aqua marriage. I know, grumpy old fan over here. But
same here.
I'm glad that they're actually in a relationship together. Like that was really a lot of the stuff, and that's why I love Team Heroes a lot, because they're really good at showing these they hang out together. What do sidekicks do on the weekend? They hang out at Titan Tower. I love that stuff.
Yeah.
I was so excited to see Titan Tower.
I know. Yeah. One in Manhattan and one in it's in San Francisco, and the Titans are in Manhattan, right? I think that's how it's.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I just my dream is that Aquaman Annual #1 is a wedding issue. That'd be great.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be good.
I would love to see. I can't say his name. Stjepan Sejic.
Oh yeah.
I would love to see him draw the wedding.
That'd be great.
That guy, that's Sunstone, right? Sunstone, and he's the artist of Rat Queens currently, right? Or he was?
No, he did 1 or 2 issues and then had to drop off due to health.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh, down.
But he did a few issues of that. He does Death Vigil.
Okay.
Well, his whole arc is going to be that Aquaman has been deposed via a coup, and he's trying to regain the throne. So I suspect that maybe when he regains the throne, that's when they'll do the wedding. That'd be pretty great.
Oh, please tell me it's Ocean Master. I just love the look of Ocean Master. Every time he shows up, I'm happy.
Well, then, if they have an Aqua Kid, we can have more Young Hero books.
Yes.
Oh, but yeah, if they put... Do you mean Arthur's son? They've got to put him in that, the tidal wave costume from back in the day.
I don't know this tidal wave costume. I'll have to look it up.
It's basically, it was called aqua camo, I think, and it was
from '86, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just oceanic looking. It was amazing. I liked it.
I don't know if you guys want to spice it up a little bit, because I feel like we've sung the Young Hero praises a little bit. And
sure.
How about their misses? Which, in my opinion, the biggest miss is the biggest fuck you to creators I've seen in a while, America.
Oh my god, that book.
Are you guys reading America? Do you guys want me to go over kind of what happened, how it came to be, Do you guys want to talk about it, or is that just such a lost cause that it's don't even give it any attention?
Well, I mean, I think it's one of those things where it's not really. They just put it out to put it out. It's not giving a good creator, and letting them tell their own story. I feel like it's coming from Marvel heads and saying, you got to write this book. We got to put it out.
And let me say something, I represent the average reader, right? So, and I'm just going to say kind of like what I believe happened, what I've heard happen behind the scenes. I heard that the creators of America came to Marvel, right? And they said, we want to do a solo title for America. We have a great idea. Marvel said, fuck no. The creators went to Image. They pitched it. They made it happen. And as soon as Marvel got a wind of this, they put a newbie who is Gabby Rivera. I have so many feelings about Gabby. And I believe Joe Quinones, right? And they pooped out America before All America Comics could come out on Image.
That's the title. I was trying to find it.
What do you guys think about what Marvel did to the original creators of America?
Marvel did not make America great again.
Hashtag.
It's just another money move. They just want, short-term, they just make short-term business moves because they can put it out for a few months and then say, well, we gave it a chance.
Yeah. So are you guys reading it? What do you guys think of it?
I read number 1 and I hated it.
Okay. And Wiccan, did you read it?
Who? Okay. Who were the creators again of Miss America Chavez? I'm blanking.
Me too.
I always think it's Mike Carey, but that sounds wrong.
Let me look it up. All America.
Oh, is it Nick? Nick Dragata and...
They are Joe Casey and Nick Dragota.
That's who I was thinking of. I mean, I feel like... I feel like hashtag white guy talking about this, but one of my issues is that America Chavez she's supposed to be from the future, like she's from a 2-mom future, and my problem is that she sounds like the worst like stereotype of a modern Latinx, or is that the appropriate term now?
And he's not wrong. Like, the way she's written, you swear like she grew up in Chihuahua, Mexico. And I'm just like, what is going on here? Like, I was so offended by the way she speaks, because I've been following America from some of her like first appearances, and one being my favorite, like most recent America's appearances have been Young Avengers by Kieran Gillen and McKelvey, and also I read her in Ultimates. And, not only does it feel regressive, because she's gone from Young Avengers to the Ultimates to going back to school, so that's the first what the fuck.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, she is like talking like the biggest chola I've ever seen. And I don't know why. Like at one point she starts like praying to Selena. At one point she starts praying to J-Lo, and I don't know why. And it like none of it makes sense to me. What do you guys think?
What do you feel like, it's not being true to the core of the character?
It's not. Like, this isn't America. This is not.
I don't know why they didn't have Al Ewing write this book. Because, like, he's writing her character really well. Or at least he was when she was in Ultimates.
Yeah. Well, I think the moment in issue number 1 where my head officially hit the desk in front of me was when she's punching a villain and she literally goes, "I'm now going to hit you with my brown fist."
Oh, no. Oh, no.
And,
I think I missed that, but now I'm all over upset again.
Now I'm offended all over.
I'm going to try to find a screen cap because it's pretty awful.
And
well, I would compare it to Miss Marvel, where Miss Marvel, Kamala is Muslim, but the book's not about her being Muslim.
Yeah.
You know, that's just part of her background and her, you know, her life. And I feel like America, Brandon, close your ears. I browsed through the issue at the store, and I just feel like they're trying to say, "Look, I'm Hispanic," you know.
Yeah.
And
Instead of
it.
just telling an authentic story where she happens to be Hispanic and that's part of her life.
Yeah, the way it's written now, like it reads like a 90s comics that, you know, trying real hard but just missing the mark.
And I appreciated, and not to completely shit on it, I appreciated the queerness aspect of it, but I just loathed. I mean, I'm never one to be upset at creators. I always attack characters and their decisions because I treat these characters like they're real people. Like you know, the X-Men are more important to me than Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie. Like, you know, if they could die and I would not bat an eye. But if something happened to my X-Men, there'd be a fucking problem. You know. So,
yeah, she's sorry. I had to go to Wikipedia because I wanted to get. Yeah, she was literally raised by her mothers in the Utopian Parallel, a reality out of time,
aka not Mexico.
So yeah, like so she wouldn't talk or express herself like, you know, the worst stereotype of
like. She's walking around and she's literally beating on some guys and she goes, "Oh, if you don't stop it, you know, it's the chancleta to you." And I'm just like, my God, like, cringe. Like, it's just so cringe. Like, the title should have been America Cringe. Like, it's just
you're basically like
America
saying
cringe.
you're not saying that people have different experience. You're basically saying that, like, oh, this is what a Hispanic is. This is what it means to be Hispanic. And it's like, okay, you're picking one dimension of that identity, and you're asserting it as like, this is everything about her. This, you know, it doesn't matter that she wasn't even, you know, born in this century. You know, what matters is that she's Hispanic, and this is the way all Hispanics are.
Yeah,
and it's just obviously not true.
And I wished they would have focused more if they had to. Because they touched on it, her queerness. I feel like it wouldn't have come off as stereotypical if they would have focused on that instead of just making sure that everybody knew she was fucking Latina. You know?
Yeah. Well, one of the things that I've always appreciated about her character, and Karen Gillan really did a good job of it, is that she's always just calling people on their BS. Like, like she just sees through people.
Yeah.
Like,
I love those moments with Kid Loki where she's like, Chico, I'm watching you. Like, that was cool. Like, that was awesome.
But you know, that was true to her character.
Right.
Yeah, and I just feel like I just feel like it was a gigantic fuck you to the original creators. I feel like they just pooped this out as a middle finger. That the art was rushed, the story was god awful, and there's just no redeeming this title. Do you guys think there's a redeeming quality for this?
Well, I don't think Marvel cares about that. Like, I don't think the uppers really care. They just like, can we make a few bucks off of it, and then move on?
Do you think that they thought, okay, the creators went to Image, All America Comics is coming out. Do you think that we can make a few bucks before they do?
Oh, yeah, no, for sure. Like,
and when this title is inevitably canceled, that idiot, whoever's like the CCO or whatever, whichever idiot is up there, will just say, "Oh, it was canceled because she's Hispanic."
Exactly, and that fucking VP of marketing that came out and said that these books aren't selling because nobody cares about diversity. No, motherfucker, people care. You're just not treating these characters right, and you're not marketing them right, and like you just essentially don't know what the fuck you're doing. You're just money hungry, and like you just don't know.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, well, you know, speaking of young heroes. Is anyone reading Supergirl?
I read the first issue.
All right.
I didn't want to, but I had to.
I'm alone on that island.
It's great though. I really, really love everything Steve Orlando.
Yeah, Yeah, there are nitpicky things where I could go like, she wouldn't have an accent because Kryptonians have perfect mimicry, and it's like, but like I think it's clear that it's intentionally modeled after the show, which I think is smart. Um, but I mean I don't know. I'm having fun with that book.
If it's anything like the show, I'll read it because I am such a huge Supergirl season 1 fan. Like that show. It's all about Cat Grant.
You're getting more Cat Grant in the comics than you are in the current show.
Oh my God, Ally McBeal as Cat Grant is so good. I fangirled all over that. All 22 episodes were perfection because of Ally McBeal. Love her.
I do think, Ian, you should definitely read it because you would love it.
Okay, I think I am. I think I am now.
And also like to piggyback on Teen Titans, like one of the potentially particularly with social media and stuff, like one of the more daring things I think DC Rebirth did was bring back pre-Flashpoint Wally. I think it was a necessary move because like that character's been around since 1959, but also DC found a way to, we're gonna make sure Wally 2.0 has his own like chunk. Like he's gonna be in the Flash book and he's gonna be in Teen Titans. Like he's gonna have still a significant role. But yet we're going to bring back the original Wally because we know that, like, he was just missing. Like, and it's nothing against the New 52 version, like, but it's just like he wasn't the classic Wally. Like, he was an all-new character with the same name. And
and I think the current Flash series, even just tying into Young Heroes, has done such a great job of not just keeping the Wally from New 52, but actually doing a lot of hard work to make him his own character, and it's worked really well. So now, I mean, people who were bitter at him before because he replaced a long character that people loved, now it's like I think that they've built him up as his own thing so much that he's just a really compelling character now.
Yeah.
In that book.
And he's not. They didn't. They're not using him and as a way to shit on, the first Wally.
Right.
He's his own thing. He's not coming out of, I guess when he first came, but now with Rebirth, they're making room for the people they invested in.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's still some young heroes that I hope will be popping up again soon, like with the Justice Society returning, like, a more traditional Justice Society. I'm still holding out hope that means we'll see Obsidian and Jade again, like, because maybe me and, like, one other person, like, they're some of my favorite heroes, and I'm hoping to see them again.
What is Harper Row up to?
I haven't seen her in a while.
She's semi-retired. Like, she popped up a bit in Detective, but she's kind of retired from superheroing.
Yeah, I hadn't seen her since, I guess, Batman and Robin Eternal, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally just a handful of panels that because she's Stephanie's roommate. Am I remembering that correctly? Like, do they live together?
Oh yeah, that's where I've seen her. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So, we're nearing the 2-hour mark. Are there any topics that you guys want to touch on and kind of start wrapping up, maybe? Because I'm sure you guys don't want to be here all night, even though we probably could be.
Well, I just wonder from everybody, like, what's your hope for the young hero books at Marvel?
My hope is that they stop being dismissed by longtime readers and are taken seriously. I feel like they've done enough to prove themselves and prove their worth. And as Marvel as an entity, I hope they get some people in there that know how to market these titles to the demographic that they're intended for, because the people that are buying these titles are going to be mainly buying them digitally. So maybe go that route to try to market it that way and get fucking Comixology to release these sales, because the longtime readers are harping on the fact that these titles are not selling in hard copy, but they are selling digitally, and that has to stop. That ammunition that they think they have has to fucking stop.
Well, yeah, but they're never going to release those numbers.
So that's what I would like to see happen. How about you guys?
My biggest hope for Young Heroes in Marvel is that Generation X is good. Other than that,
yeah,
I'm putting all my eggs in that basket.
In X-Men?
Yeah, Generation X. Yeah.
Oh, dude, me too.
That's my biggest hope at the moment.
I think. I mean, my own personal take is like I think they need to give these characters just room to grow. Like I was saying, like I think Riri would be benefited from, like, if there was a new Young Avengers title and Riri was like the Iron Man on that book, like I think she'd benefit a lot more from that than trying to support the Iron Man title when, you know, you kind of do just want to read about Tony Stark, and that's nothing against her, but I'm hoping that with whatever happens with Legacy, like I hope there is some sort of they could even do like a Young Avengers and a Young Avengers West Coast. That would be amazing.
Oh my god! Okay. You asked what I would like to see. I would like a Young Avengers title in the future, written by Kieran Gillen and McKelvey.
Yes, please come back.
Please. That would be like my ideal. That would be like my dream.
Well, that goes along with what I wish for the Young Heroes. Put creators on the book who have a strong take and they have a story that they want to tell, and trust them to tell a good story. Like, give them a chance to do that.
And it's funny because the more these publishers keep telling these people no, the more they're going to leave them and go indie.
Yeah.
Look at Jeff Lemire.
Yeah.
That was kind of a shocker.
He's fucking had it with the Marvel treatment, and he's at that point where he can back his shit up. You know, he's like, I don't need you.
Well, that Descender movie deal was probably helping.
So,
well, think about like, what if Marvel lost Jason Aaron?
Oh,
yeah. Oh, that
what?
He's their last good writer. Him and Al Ewing.
Is anyone else, speaking of Jeff Lemire, is anyone else reading Descenders? Because if we're talking about Young Heroes, like Tim 21 is great. Like, and he deserves a shout out. Like I've been using this line elsewhere, but really, what Mega Man is to video games, like Tim 21 really is to comics. Like, he's a great character.
Oh my gosh, Jeff Lemire on a Young Heroes Marvel book.
Oh God. Sign me up.
Did you read his Platona? Like, I know it was just a miniseries.
It's so funny. Because
he writes kids' dialogue well.
I was thinking that just to give a shout out, because I know we focused on Marvel and DC. Check out young adult titles like Plutona, Paper Girls. I got another one in my head. What the fuck was it?
Particularly if you like Stranger Things.
Yeah.
Check out Paper Girls.
Yeah.
It's like kids are being badass in the indie realm too. Like, don't think that it's just the big two. Like, Image is sneaking in there.
Well, is anybody reading 4 Kids Walk Into a Bank?
No, but I did read We Can Never Go Home, which is another young adult title that is amazing.
Yeah, same writer. Yeah, I think it only has about 3 issues out, but it does, kids in a really fun way.
To check that out.
So,
this is obviously looking way into the future, But how amazing is it going to be when Hazel in Saga becomes old enough that she becomes the protagonist? That's gonna be incredible, because like they keep jumping ahead a few years at a time. So I'm just waiting for the time when Saga is just
for
the
her to
adventures
take
of
over
Hazel when she's like 17.
Yeah.
Episodes, yeah. That'd be great.
Any other titles that you guys want to give a shout out to in the indie realm?
Oh yeah. I mean, honestly, everything. It feels like everything Jeff Lemire is doing is like gold right now. Like, Royal City has been so good. I'm really liking Black Hammer. Like, as a
Hammer is amazing.
Oh my god!
As a longtime DC fan, I love him playing with those archetypes. Like that. Like I've reread that all the issues that have come out so far, and like I just love that book so much.
I mean, reading Underwater Welder changed my life, and ever since then he has been
here.
He has been my favorite writer, my comic book writer, since then, and I love every single thing that he's written. I will buy any title that has his name on it, and I have to say this is the best year he's ever had creatively. Black Hammer is my favorite series going on right now. My second favorite series is Royal City, also by him. My third favorite city is Moon Knight, my third favorite series is Moon Knight, also by him.
Yeah.
I mean, he is dominating like the comics I think about when I fall asleep at night right now.
And I do want to I want to mention too, because I cannot not praise Greg Rucka, but his Black Magic title with Nicola Scott is coming back. I'm really looking forward to reading that again. And Hits Lazarus continues to be great. Like I love that world. I love Forever Carmichael. She's great.
Yeah. Is anybody reading Birthright?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I think it's not necessarily about kids, but I think it's interesting seeing the flashbacks and seeing those characters as kids.
Yeah.
I think Josh Williamson has I love his creator and stuff. I think he has a really good. I was sad the Nailbiter ended.
Oh yeah.
Going back to Birthright, like Savannah Galactus Hunger, she recommended that to me. I took down that book, like I think over 20 titles in like a day and a half.
Yeah.
Like, it was that fucking good. Like, the journey as a kid, the journey that he's on as an adult, like, it's just so beautifully done. Like,
yeah, that is such a good first issue. Like,
Yeah. Like, I don't know, it's just, like, his father is such, like, a tragic character, because it's like that's the worst nightmare of any parent, and, like...
Oh, yeah. But I also love his moments, like, of, like, fangirling over his son. Like, when he finds out how badass, he's like, that's my fucking son. I will do whatever the fuck he wants me to do. Like, that's my son. That's my son, man.
And I love his younger brother. Mikey's... Well, it's his older brother, but, he's younger now, of course.
Yeah.
He's stepping in and,
he's coming into his own, and, like, he's just as badass, if not... I mean, he's proven himself already, and I don't want to spoil. I'm talking about a specific moment in the title.
Yeah.
How far are you guys into it?
Oh, I'm current. Like, I'm caught up.
Okay, cool. Are you?
I've got 3 long boxes I'm catching up on. I'm like 5 issues behind on it.
And you know what you could do? It's like,
in my defense,
reduce your pull list and focus on what you need to read.
Yeah, but in my defense, so like a long box of that stuff is all Convergence and like Secret War tie-ins. Like, so one of those boxes is just stuff that's already ended.
You need to read them, and then a quarter of a box is like all the Gem and the Hologram variants. God. No vacations for me.
Oh yeah.
So, anything else you guys want to touch on?
No, I got to get out my daily Lemire swooning, so I'm good.
Lemire, he's fucking gorgeous too. I mean, can we fangirl over how like attractive he is?
and I do think, I mean, I know, because I read the chat, I know there's a lot of Brian Michael Bendis, let's just say not love.
I wonder who you're talking about.
But I do want to give a shout out to Spider-Man, Miles Morales, and in particular the character of Gonke. Like I want a Gonke like intern of Shield book so badly, where it's just him being mentored by Maria Hill, and like they're just both sassy to each other. Like I love that book.
I'll read that book. I'll buy the $5 issue number 1.
I know, right? And then like the $10 issue 12. That's gonna end the story arc.
Where it's the $10 issue 12, where it's only about 5 extra pages.
Yeah, the rest is all reprints.
And the digital code for the first issue of something you probably don't want to read.
So, so we're nearing the end. Do you got anything else? I know I keep saying that. Anything else?
Well, yeah, I've just enjoyed chatting with y'all about young heroes and
and you
everything else.
And may I just say that you guys have just the perfect voices for this. So we should this should not be the last episode we do. We should totally come back and do an episode 2 of this discussion, or we can come up with a different topic and come chat about it. I'm eternally thankful to the chat. It's been super active, and they had a lot of great things to say. I apologize for not getting to everything, but when we're on a roll, it's kind of hard to stop.
Right.
But make sure to do a few things to just show support. Make sure you follow the channel or subscribe if you want. If you want to give your Amazon Prime 1 free subscription to us, that would be amazing. And also follow all of the panel. Their Twitter handles are on the title. And also join the Discord. I will put the link on the chat right now. And come talk to the community that's grown to be 171 people, which is amazing. We never thought this would happen. We were 10 assholes on a Twitter chat at one point. And it's just become amazing, mainly thanks to Ironin, who kind of moved us from YouTube and Twitter over to Twitch and Discord. And we don't regret that for a second. So if you guys want to say anything, this is your time.
Well, I'll say, I'm very thankful, to Comic Black Book, because it gives me, a place to talk about comics, and someone other tthan Brandon can listen to me talk about comics.
Yeah, Ian, you're awesome. Thanks so much for
thank you guys. You guys keep me going. Kirk Savannah and I have just been working on this. This has been a year and a half in the making, and we not only have a YouTube channel, we have 50 episodes of content there. We have Twitch, which we're nurturing right now, along with Discord, and our website is about to launch. So there's a lot of stuff that everybody can participate in. This isn't about Kirk, Savannah, and I. We are just the people who kind of started it, but this is about a community and talking about stuff we love, which is what we want to nurture and get out there. Because I feel like there's a lot of negativity, and we want to and we want to fight that. We don't want to be part of that side of the industry. We want to be part of the industry that supports creators and supports the love that we have for this medium.
Yeah, and I complain a bit sometimes, but there's so many great books out now that you could read only the incredible things, and you still would not have enough time to read them all.
Yeah, I'm living proof of that. Yeah, no, I appreciate the opportunity to be on here. I kind of inadvertently crashed it, but no,
awesome.
it's been great to have this conversation. It's my first stream ever, period. So this has been a great privilege and a joy for me. So thank you for having me here.
Thank you for being here. But again, just last time, if you want to have one of these community discussions, just let me know, and we'll get it scheduled. I'll host you. I don't have to be involved. If you just want to be between you and other people, I'm more than happy to host you and just set everything up. I will do the hard work. All you got to do, show up and nerd out. So, do you guys want to say bye? I know the ending of these things is always so hard. Like, when do you press stop streaming?
So you hang up first.
No,
Yeah,
you do it.
Time to sing the goodbye song.
So,
Closing time.
so thank you to Wiccan, Clark, Brendan, and Josh for doing this. This was super fun, and yeah. So say bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye. I'll see you guys on Discord. We'll kind of debrief there.
Sounds good.
Okay.